How would JJK be different if Toji had never mentioned Megumi to Gojo? Shout out to Dusty for the question today, and let's talk about it. All right, so the butterfly effect on this one is going to be huge because that was a pivotal moment in JJK's history, right? So it could ripple out any number of ways and really dealer's choice, right? But we can at least talk about the big things that are going to be different here because Gojo quite literally changed not only Megumi's trajectory, but basically the events of the story because he took this kid under his wing. Again, he wanted to protect Megumi from all of the things he had to go through as a child. And not only Megumi, but all of the students. That would basically be Gojo's mission statement. But Megumi in particular, because he's pretty much a mirror, right? It's this kid with the legendary technique of a big clan. If Gojo hadn't taken him under his wing, he would have been a Zenin tool. Megumi would have been groomed for leadership and indoctrinated with the Zenin way of thinking from the moment they got their hands on him. And that's not to say that Megumi at his core would have fundamentally shifted who he is, but when you're indoctrinated and brainwashed from a very young age, that can have some severe effects on you, right? So I think that he would largely become an enemy of Gojo. Now, not that Gojo would ever want to take out a kid, but he is going to be framed that the Gojo clan and Satoru Gojo in particular are the biggest thing standing in our way of becoming the most powerful clan. So what essentially goes from his father figure becomes his number one op. And even if we want to say that Megumi would have been resistant to the Zenin clan's indoctrination or wouldn't have just aligned with them in what they wanted from him, it wouldn't have mattered because they would have just forced him to do it by leveraging his sister, right? They would have gotten their claws on both of them, and we know that Megumi cares about Tsumiki more than anything else in the world. Even when Gojo adopted him, his first thoughts were well, we got to take care of my sister as well, right? So all the Zenin has to do is apply pressure to Tsumiki to get whatever they want out of Megumi. Ultimately, I think Megumi would have led a sadder, much lonelier life, much like Gojo has, thanks to both of them being used as tools by their clans, a way to acquire more power and more political standing, right? And then the wider ripple effects are interesting to consider because Yuji might not have made it past that first episode, right? Megumi may not even be in Jujutsu High if he was being groomed to be the Zenin clan head, which means some other sorcerer might have been present there, and one that wouldn't have spared Yuji the way that Megumi and then ultimately Gojo did. So yeah, ultimately, if this hadn't happened, I think it would have been a lot worse, at least for the majority of the main cast. But y'all let me know your thoughts.